Hi there, my name is Miss Townsend and I love math. Welcome to Math with Townsend. This video is for grade 10 students who are studying quadratic relations. In a series of word problem questions, this one is question number 7. Let's look at the question. It says a company manufactures t-shirts. The profit in dollars for selling a certain type of shirt is projected to be this equation, where x is the selling price of one shirt. So here we have a quadratic equation, x squared, a profit, and its relationship with the selling price of one t-shirt. So let's go ahead and analyze this relationship as far as we can, and then we'll look at what we're supposed to do. So here's that equation again without all the words around it. And again, it's profit compared to selling price of the shirt. So what do we know? Well, we know that if the selling price is 0, the profit is a minus. So the starting value is at negative $6,720. So think for a minute about what it means to say that profit is a negative. It means you're losing money. So if we sell the t-shirts at $0, we're going to lose money. What else do we know? We know that it's a negative parabola, which means that something like this is going to happen. So here's the selling price of the shirts. Here's profit, and we start down here at negative 67.20. So we start by losing money if we don't sell the shirts or we give them away. Then we're going to have something like this, where eventually we're going to sell them at a price that gives us a maximum profit. But then if we keep increasing the price, people are going to stop buying them, and presumably we'll kind of go back here. I don't know if we'll get any further down from here. Probably not. It's pretty hard to lose more money than what you've invested. So this is the scenario of the question. We've got the dollar price of the shirts, and we've got our profit, and we know that we have to, we're not starting at 0. We're starting below 0. We're starting at losing money. So we want to eventually make money, I assume, if we're this business. So let's see what we're supposed to do. What selling price, so what value of x, gives the maximum profit, and what is the maximum profit? Okay, so we know we're looking for the vertex. So here's the equation. Let's let p equal 0 so that we can find the roots, and then use the roots to find the vertex. By all means, if you would rather complete the square, that's your choice. Oh, heck, you know what? No, I'm not going to complete the square. I was about to just change my mind and complete the square, but let's leave it. So what do you want to do? Do you want to try factoring? No, I agree. Let's just use the quadratic equation. So negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So use your calculator wisely, please. Negative 1,000 is just 1,000. There'll be a square root of something, and on the bottom, negative 40. So go ahead and calculate that discriminant, please. Keep track of your negative signs. This is the place where you don't want to suddenly ignore a negative sign when it makes life correct. So I get a discriminant of 462,400. So 462,400. And we're going to now split into two different values for x. So x is going to be 1,000 plus, let me ask my calculator to take the square root here, 680. And again, the fact that I got a whole number, the square root is perfect, means that I actually could have factored this, but that's okay. We're not worried about method. We're worried, as long as you do one or the other. So let's do both these calculations. So 1,680 divided by negative 40, that's going to give me negative 42. Or negative 8. Now I'm a little concerned that we have negative answers, because if you look back at my diagram, I didn't expect negative answers. I expected to actually get 2 positive answers. Aha, and I found my mistake. So isn't it good that we think ahead? This should have been plus 1,000, which means that this is minus 1,000, minus 1,000, minus 1,000. So that means my answers are. So I really hope that as I was doing this, you were thinking, oh no, she's wrong. And you didn't give up on me, because it's just as important as doing math correctly is being able to recognize your mistakes. So here, this time I get positive 8, and here I get negative, and let me just verify, 1680. Yep, here I get positive 42. So those make more sense. And again, here's the diagram I'm thinking about. This is why before we do any math, we always visualize what's happening, because that way our math will either make sense to us or we'll know we've kind of missed something, like I just did here with a silly mistake. So those are my roots. So I expect this to be at 8, and I expect this to be at 42. And I know that if I take the midpoint of those roots, I'll be on the axis of symmetry, and then I can use the axis of symmetry to help me maximize. So let's find the axis of symmetry, which I call the AOS. So find the midpoint of these two values, and we discover the axis of symmetry is at 25. Another way of saying that is that the vertex is at 25 comma something. And so now we're going to sub 25 into this equation. So negative 20 x squared plus 1,000 x minus 6740. Is that right? Let me just double check. Minus 6720. My apologies. And again, it's calculator time. Let's calculate what that maximum profit is. So a couple things. Make sure you know that if you get a negative number, you've probably done something wrong, because we've already visualized what's supposed to happen, and getting a negative number would mean something very strange has happened. So I get positive 5,780. And in terms of the scale, that sort of makes sense, because I already knew that we had a negative here of 6720. So the fact that this number is 5,000 and, makes sense in terms of context. So therefore, the maximum profit is $5,780 when the selling price, so when X is, well, that's that value I subbed in, when X is 25. So sell the t-shirts at $25 and you'll maximize your profit. Let's see what else we're supposed to do. Determine the X and P intercepts of this function. Explain what they represent to the company making t-shirts. So the X intercepts occur where P equals 0. Well, if P equals 0, haven't we already done that math? Isn't that exactly what we just did? So we already know that when P equals 0, we have values of 8 and 42. Those would be the X intercepts. And what do they mean? Again, let's visualize. Well, if the selling price of a t-shirt is $8 or $42, the profit is 0. So profit equals 0. Let's think about what that means in terms of maybe a business setting. They didn't lose money. They didn't make money. It's what we call a break-even point. It means that if you sell the shirts for $8, you will make no money, but luckily you haven't lost any money for the setup fee and advertisement and all that stuff. Also, if you sell them for $42. Now, why is it that it happens twice? Well, here you're selling them really cheaply, so a lot of people are going to buy them, but there's very tight profit margin. You're only going to make, say, 50 cents for every t-shirt, but you're going to sell a lot of t-shirts. Here, other end of the scale, you're selling them for a pretty expensive price. So you have a really large profit margin, but you're not going to sell as many. That's why you see this break-even point twice. Once because they're so cheap you don't make enough money off of each one, and once because they're so expensive that you don't sell very many. And of course, halfway between them is that magic, perfect, maximum profit number. So those are the x-intercepts. Let's talk about the p-intercept. The p-intercept occurs when x equals 0, And we know, again, looking at that formula, if x equals 0, that's gone, and that's gone. We're left with a p-intercept of negative 6,720. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if the selling price is $0, the profit is negative 67.20. So what does that mean? Selling price was $0. Well, that's basically like giving away the t-shirts. So you're not going to earn any money at all. So how can the profit be negative? Well, that must be your investment cost. That's the cost of buying, the t-shirts or the fabric. That's the cost of paying the seamstresses. It's the cost of advertisement. It's the cost of renting the building. It's the cost of heating the building, and so on. So this is your investment cost as the business. So if you do not sell a single shirt, or if you give them all away, you lose $6,720 because that's the amount it costs you to make the shirts in the first place. So I hope that makes sense. Very business world question, but it's a good thinking question that has us doing quadratics that aren't just, projectile motion. Okay, so that's question 7, and I'll see you maybe at question 8.